the second time that I was arrested. I had just found out a week prior to that I was pregnant. Had no idea what I was going to do about this pregnancy. The father and I were using drugs together, and we hadn't really had a chance to figure it out. And so then I was being arrested, and now I'm having a baby, but I'm in county jail, and I start wrapping my mind around this idea that I'm gonna be a mom, like trying to start picturing like playing on the floor with my baby, and what kind of mom I'm gonna be, and what kind of child I want to raise, and like really feeling this pregnancy in a different way. And once I kind of wrapped my head around that, I went to see my attorney, and I was like, you have to tell the judge I'm pregnant. This should change things, right? There's got to be something that we can do so that I don't have to be torn away from my child. And my attorney said, the state of Texas doesn't care if you're pregnant, if you're committing a crime. And they wanted me to do 4 years for a possession charge. They were not going to go lower than that because I had already been to prison. And so I had to live his first year of life in prison. I stayed in the county jail. I gave birth to him. I spent 2 days with him in the hospital, and then I went to prison. And so that choice, I take responsibility for the choices that I make, but I think that the system has to take responsibility for the choices that it makes. And that's the system took a year of my son's life away from me when it could have given me another option. And then my last arrest, I had gotten out. I was doing really well. We'd done good for 5 years, and then I relapsed. And it was not very long after that I was back in jail. And this time I had bonded out, but again, because I had already been to prison, they were not willing to offer me anything but prison. And it was trace amounts of methamphetamine. It was really not even enough to convict me over. But because of my priors, they wanted me to go back to prison. And the problem was that this time I had 3 children who I had built my life around, who their lives were built around me, and my grandmother who was depending on me for care. And so, again, the attorney that I was assigned to was basically telling me that they didn't believe that I had been out of trouble for the last 5 years. They just believed I hadn't been getting caught, which obviously for me, I'm not the good criminal. I always get caught, except that this isn't something that I feel like should be criminalized to the extent at which it's criminalized. And so I wound up getting 7 months for that sentence. That was my last time. That was 6 years ago. And when I came back home, a few months, 6 or 7 months went by, and I had a traffic ticket that I had to go take care of. And I mentioned something to my husband about going to court. And a few minutes later, I went upstairs and I looked in the bedroom, and my oldest son was laying there crying. And I asked him, what's wrong? And he's like, I don't want you to go to jail again. And so, you can see how this trauma has happened to my children. And again, I accept responsibility for the part that I play, but I think that we can offer different solutions for people that have a problem, not a criminal record. If I had been given treatment instead of prison, who knows the heights that I could reach, because I wouldn't have 4 felony drug convictions on my record that prevent me from renting homes, from getting certain jobs. I might have gone back to school to become a doctor, but I can't do that because I have felony drug convictions on my record. So there were dreams that I once had that have been squashed based on my criminal history. I'll accept that, but also, what would our world look like if we had, if people could reach their full potential?